answering roll call this morning.
Chairman Tanya.
Yes.
This is Delegate Claudia. I'm on the line. Thank you, Chair.
Christina, thank you for calling in. Ms. Springer, did you get that?
Yes, I did. So now that's 5 members answering roll call this morning.
Christina, thank you. That Budget and Finance Committee. We do have a quorum. 5 members are present, so therefore I'll call this meeting to order. It is 10:11 a.m. and also we do have Delegate Elmer P. Begay on the line. So therefore we have 6 members. Thank you for calling in, and we'll move forward on this day, November 2nd, 2021. We'll call the Budget and Finance Committee regular meeting to order. Let's move forward to our invocation. For a new month and for new meetings. So Delegate Elmer P. Begay.
I'll do that. Oh, gotcha. Ja, ik ben anders ko. Hadden kwijt ja. Het also ja, je moet ze echt lachen dus is. Het einde is daarna niet zien zo dus. Het einde dat hij tegen. En niet dan ja. 2 more days is it? Ik zie wat 3 more days. The fifth that we of conduct that he think of this. I was saying that he missed also the heavy bit that he can't of this. Kijk op zien is wat dus dat is ook. Ja. Is je beetje hoe gas is 2 dan niet even wat niet dan niet. Maar die ben beetje daar. Zo zijn bij zo. Bij die dus dan niet die zien uit zo bij het is. Dat is zo dat is. Sommige hoesten. Alle gewoon schrijven het is. Die internationale science de conquête die benefits. In de code is not niet in de code. Qua die ja eco. Geen benefits nou dus is in de code. Alle code eco. Dit kan a tot aan de schijn kopie jaar dan launching kon. Alle chi jas dan de niet eco. Even kan je op een niet door de competitie had eco. Dan zijn die dat is dan zo. Dat also dat non ade kon na hatloni do ado kuch na hatloni is ja Canada net door dit Canada door dit ade ja ko is ja betrachten door dit is als je in land zet kras is non clean door dit de kode ado kom ik had ik kon dat nest ado sin in is na dan clean is ja na dan launching in dego Nagabi ocean nada indoor. Adosin ya kan satsin ya another thing. Is we can in the code ya down the Adosin ya Adosin ya kon ya chinana indoor this leisure. But it's not case of niet in ya kon kanada die ya dat concrete. Adosin gedoog Adosin die in de ende hasado de code. Yes, then your chief of exhibition is a single icon. Not a hasard, the only Catholic man who sounds in icon. The Ebihito and the Cardo, they don't, as they call it, yard based on lineage on the code. A credit echo, he had now that he comment on the code. He ran out, just not answer on a rib, John Tisland long. A large in Hanada Hoy out of this. Visito in Cardo, but now has new, as they call it. Dutch is not the nego that the company is not the healthy so the content. The year will be out the con, business the Hadizin Hanese, the cars the Hadizin Hanese content. Bill touch the Hadizin Hanese the content, that the content. The content is out also in this con, if I bought you that the content is on. In now, long, Honano, now, or just in this content. Is it all econ, is it content, need to hold that as in the. You can be it or not. Other we get in talk is not nasi hotin ben yaki ikon ben hat ana di le kuchikon le chapter was has audit the ne आज दे या एक हों दे इबन हत असलाज कों आदो हत has दहन कों हवन कोन स्किसना जादो आदो एक हों निजन को कों दे एक याद कों दे को बदा नोसना दा कों बेस हेजित आदो दा कों दे लाना दो दा को एजित एक बे ना होत एक कों आदि कों दे चीज नि दो दि ने कों दे दा दि कों को एजित एक कों response on the music no but I'm not the base of yard the best ni yard the ni ko the conference is not the conde ni when he has me no not in the conde ni I has see what the conde at the conde in any title the out of the conde bench down the floor of the net the seeing the conde at the conde not to see the penalty at the conde yeah as because it called it, but what is in those as we saw it just KTK in the call where the change in the whole and agent home. You think that chief son has tributary to you don't legend. Say now catch a call at the cabana or at all this. It was not the needle this, but not the needle this. But I call it a bit the call I did the was on this and so second. The Claudia to them it was on sleep or this was on sleep, was on sleep. Who's in Muslim? Okay.
Okay, like I think John got had to deal with the negotiation and but here Lee called the Nacha quite funny clony the budget finance committee meeting the general in hot so those the even the could decent a recognizing guests and visiting officials Sage Yakudo, staff, legislative branch staff, Ms. Peggy Clay and Ms. Heather Springer, Inika Night with the meeting. And Augustinata, Budget and Finance Committee. Today is election day. So staff either granted several hours of admin leave to go vote on their state election. So she about down it so I just hit up the say I'm gonna have to suspend the agenda if we wish to do that and so forth by in budget and finance committee but Akashin Zani should be discussed binibi even if the other could I base on 24th nomination council on for the record.
Hello, Chair Henia. This is Farron Garcia. May I be recognized, please?
Farron Garcia, good morning. Nomination Credit Services.
Yes, sir.
Good morning,
Eugene So.
Eugene So. Delegate Eugene So. Delegate So. Are there any other members of the 24th Nomination Council?
Chair Henia.
Yes.
This is Edmund Yazzie on the line, sir.
Hey, good morning, Delegate Edmund Yazzie, all the way from Peru, New Mexico.
Home site 1.420. Good morning, Chair and committee members and staff.
Hey, Lasto.
Good morning, Chair. Chair Hindio, Yatahepena, members of your committee, Delegate Paul Begay calling in from Lake Powell, Navajo Nation, Arizona. Yeah.
Hey, good morning, Delegate Paul Begay. Hey, Lasto.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. This is Delegate Halona.
Delegate No Alona, good morning.
Oh, good morning,
Hey,
sir.
Lasto.
Everybody online.
Lasto. Any other members of the 24th Nomination Council? Christian, with that, moving forward, let's recognize the office of the President, Vice President, the representative from the office of the President, Vice President.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This is Leonard Sosi with OPBC.
Good morning, Shananta. Mr. Sosi. What about Navajo Nation Judicial Branch? Representatives from the Navajo Nation Judicial Branch? The Navajo Nation Legislative Branch Office of the Speaker. Representatives from the Office of the Speaker.
Good morning, Chair Yate Bene, committee members. This is Donovan with Office of the Speaker.
Good morning, Donovan. Okay, moving to staff program managers. Are there any program managers on the line with us this morning? Besides Mr. Garcia.
Yeah. Good morning, Chair. This is Elizabeth Begay, Acting Controller.
Good morning, Ms. Begay.
Good morning, Chair. This is Nancy Lewis, Executive Director for the Navajo Nation Washington office.
Good morning, Ms. Lewis. Thank you for coming in. Okay, with that, let's move forward on to our agenda. Peggy, if you read the agenda into the record for us, please.
Good morning, members of the Budget and Finance Committee of the Navajo Nation Council. This is your proposed agenda for November 2nd, 2021 via teleconference. Presiding is Jamie Hinio, Chairperson, Raymond Smith Jr., Vice Chairperson, placed via telecommunications, Winter Rock, Navajo Nation. 1, call the meeting to order, the roll call, the invocation. 2, recognize guests and visiting officials. 3, review and adopt the agenda. 4, review and adopt the journal. Our journals for October 5th, 2021, October 12th, 2021. 5, receive reports. A, update on the Navajo Nation Housing Authority, presented by Dwayne Waseda, Interim CEO, Navajo Housing Authority. B is update on the CARES Fund Hardship Assistance Phase 2, presented by Elizabeth Begay, Interim Controller, Office of the Controller. C, update on the 2-year budget cycle, presented by Dominic Bial, Director, Office of Management and Budget. 6, old business done. 7, new business. A, legislation number 0114-21. B, legislation number 0109-21. C, legislation number 0193-21. D, legislation number 0239-21, or 20, excuse me, 239-20. Legislation number 0096-19, legislation number 0137-19, legislation number 0168-19. H is requesting authorization to attend the Investment Committee's annual meeting the week of November 29, 2021. And then I is requesting authorization to attend our RPA committees, RPAC's annual meeting, December 2021. 8, close the session, written announcements, adjournment, and the next regular meeting is November 16, 2021. Chair.
Christina, thank you for that reading of the agenda. Is there a motion, committee members?
Hello, Chair Hina, this is Farron. May I be recognized, please, again?
No, please hold. We are approving our agenda right now. After the agenda is their motion second, then I'll start recognizing people. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
Yeah, motion,
Delegate Brown, I'll motion.
Okay, I think I heard Shananta, Delegate Amber Kinas-Lakrati. Motion, second by Shananta, Delegate Nathaniel Brown. With that, we do have a motion and a second on the agenda. So with that, committee members, is there a comments, questions on the agenda? as read.
Chair, this is Delegate Brown.
Delegate Nathaniel Brown.
Yes. With my legislation 0096-19, let's go ahead and remove that wait, which one was my legislation? 137.
Nate Brown making a motion to remove it.
Whoever it is, please.
I'm trying to look at the agenda here.
Okay.
Chair, never mind. Let me look at the agenda closely. I'm mistaken here. Thank you.
Okay, Shana. Any further questions?
Chair Henia?
Yes. Yes, who's this?
This is Peggy.
Oh, Peggy.
Okay.
Yes, Peggy.
The Chiage Nathaniel Brown's legislation is 0137-19. It's item F on the agenda under new business.
Okay, item number F under new business. Delegate Nathaniel Brown is looking at legislation. Peggy, question here. Delegate Pernell Halona with Twin Lakes, do you have all the supporting documents for that legislation, like the chapter resolution and also the estimates?
Yes, Chair. For these, for CAP 3518, a chapter resolution is not required, but there is a chapter resolution from Twin Lakes chapter, as well as the 3 quotations that were requested. So the legislation is ready for 0127-21. The other legislation that Mr. Farron Garcia wanted to speak to is legislation number 0096-19, which is item E under new business. And then we also have a report that was requested from one of the committee members regarding the tribal consultations, and the Navajo Nation Washington office has their executive director on the call. Ms. Santi Lewis is also ready to provide a report, and that report needs to be added to the agenda as well. Chair Henia.
Okay, she came off with those clarification. With that, some Budget and Finance Committee members, questions, comments on the agenda?
This is Delegate Brown.
Chairman Henia, go ahead.
Delegate Nathaniel Brown.
My apologies. I'm trying to pay attention, listen here. A lot of noise. So I believe that my legislation 137, I think the word is expired, and I haven't heard back from Navajo Nation Tourism Department. I know that this was for the previous fiscal year. So if we can go ahead and remove my legislation, a motion to remove my legislation. Thank you.
There's a motion for amendment number 1, sponsored by Delegate Nathaniel Brown. With that, say to remove legislation 37-19 off the agenda, which is letter F under new business. Is there a second for amendment number 1?
Second, Delegate Crotty.
Okay, second by Delegate Amber Knessler-Crotty. With this, we do have a motion and a second for amendment number 1. Any questions, comments on amendment number 1?
Chair Henia, this is Delegate Crotty with the question.
Go with your question.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I'd like to ask if Delegate Brown can modify his amendment, and in hopes of trying to expedite this meeting and reading over the legislation, if they would consider, if the committee would consider adding a report from the Washington office regarding the upcoming U.S. Treasury tribal consultations. And that email and request was sent out to the committee last week. The other item, Chair, in following Ms. Nakai, I don't know if there's another legislation that needs to be added on, but if we could, Chair, if the amending party can modify, and I'd like to request a consent agenda for A, legislation 0114-21, for B, legislation 0109-21, C, legislation 0193-20, D, legislation number 0239-20, and G, legislation 0168-19. Chair, I believe that these legislations really can be, these are administrative matters, and the programs have been directed to develop an administrative pathway for these areas. Thank you, Chair. If that could be modified for the amendment, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that request, Shanada. With this, Shanada, Delegate Nathaniel Brown requests to modify your motion to add a report to the report section from the, and then also from the Navajo Nation Washington office will be providing that report, and then also to do consent agendas for the legislations that were named. Shanada, Delegate Brown.
Yeah, I'll be there. That's fine.
Kushina, that request to modify is therefore accepted. And with that, the seconding party is the Shanada Delegate Amber Ganaz-Bakari made that request, so therefore it's good to go on the consent agenda. Any further comments or questions, Shanada, on amendment number 1?
Chair Genio?
I'm hearing two people speak at the same time. Any questions, comments on the amendment number 1?
Chair Henios, Vice Chair Smith. Good morning.
Vice Chair Smith. Good morning, Shanada.
Thank you. Could you repeat the legislations that are going to be on consent? I've got the added report and motion in second, and I'd like to have the consent read again. Vice
Chair Smith. The order is under new business. It'd be item A, item B, item C, item D, and Peggy, what's the last one? Is it G?
Yes, it is, Chair Genio. I also have a comment.
Item G, Vice Chair Smith.
Thank you, Chair Genio. Thank you.
Chair, with that,
Chair.
Who's saying Chair?
This is Edmund, sir. If I may, can I make a quick comment?
Delegate Yazzie? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, Chair, committee members, appreciate the consent agenda. Committee members, I was wondering if we could also add letter A, if it's okay with the committee members. Chair?
A is a part of she is part of the consent agenda. It's the lineup is letter A, B, C, D, and G.
Okay, Chair, committee members, staff, as long as it's our legislations, okay? But I thank the committee members. Good morning, everyone.
Appreciate for that. Peggy, you have a comment?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Chair Genio. Regarding letter E, 96-19, this is on the write-offs of $6,728 for personal loans from the credit services. I sent an email out to everyone this morning at 8:39, And there's a policy that was approved by the Budget and Finance Committee in 2018, which addresses this issue. And so I don't believe that a legislation is necessary to approve the write-offs. But the only requirement is that the Office of the Controller must provide a report to the Budget and Finance Committee when there's loans that need to be written off. That's what it says in their policy on section 14. So I don't know
This is
that issue at the time the legislation comes up.
This is legislation sponsored by Delegate Jimmy Yellowhair.
Yes.
Kashina, with that information, also since we're on that, Mr. Farron Garcia, are you still on the line with us?
Yes, Honorable Chair Henio, I am here.
Kashina, thank you for being patient with us as we wanted to establish an order here, a motion and second, then opening the floor for comments on this legislation 96-21. What was explained by Peggy, as far as there's no need for legislation. Do you concur on that, sir?
Yes, I do. According to the policy, it does state in there a written report needs to be given and presented by the controller for write-off.
Thank you for that information. With that, Delegate Jimmy Yellowhair.
Yes.
So on legislation, the legislation you're sponsoring regarding the write-off, did you get the information that was provided?
Yeah, I heard it provided. Yes, I heard, understand, and also I heard from the also advisory from the Peggy Nakai.
So the question: do you still wish to keep your legislation on the agenda or not? Delegate Yellowhair.
Okay, excuse me, Chairman. It's on mute, Anyway, I'll leave it up to the controller. We can take it off. We can take it off as according to a subsection 14.
You're sponsoring the legislation, so it's your decision whether to keep it on the agenda or not. And from there, if you decide to keep it on, we'll be discussing it. If you take it off, then it'll give you time to meet with the controller and Mr. Garcia again, and whether to keep moving or withdraw the legislation. So, this legislation for today's agenda.
Probably leave it on to discuss it, Chairman.
With that, moving forward, any further questions, comments on amendment number 1?
Chair is Vice Chair Smith.
Vice Chair Smith, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Legislations A and B, letters A and B, I'd like to remove those because those are corrective actions, and we just do consent. Thank you.
Okay, with that, request to hear legislation that is listed in 7A and 7B of the new business off the consent agenda. So that's back on the regular agenda. So with this, any further questions, comments on amendment number 1? Budget and Finance Committee members, Vice Chair Smith, if I may, 127-21, sponsored by Delegate Pernell Halona, is ready for old business. It would be under new business if the committee member wishes to entertain that as part of the amendment.
Chair Henios, can you repeat that legislation number?
127-21, sponsored by Delegate Pernell Halona. It was tabled and it's ready for old business action.
Could we have staff give us an update, or I'm trying to pull up why it was tabled and if that issue was, if it's ready to get back onto the agenda, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Shanada. It's tabled. One is the request from the committee was to get a chapter resolution. And also the second was to get 3 quotations for the equipment. And therefore, according to Peggy earlier, those 2 requests have been fulfilled and it's ready for committee action. Peggy?
Okay, the legislation number is 127-21. An action relating to Resources and Development and Budget and Finance Committee approving a change in resolution number cap 3518 for Twin Lakes chapter by deleting 3 projects in the year 1 funding period and adding new heavy equipment purchases in the year 3 funding period, sponsored by Pernell Halona Council Delegate. And this is one that Budget and Finance Committee has final authority. And just a reminder, chapter resolutions aren't required, but this one has a chapter resolution that was requested by the committee, and also the 3 quotations for the truck purchase. And this was tabled on October 12, 2021. So it's ready.
Okay, with that information, Shanada, Delegate Amber Canas-Macari.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So if I could ask the amending party, because we're still amending the original Amendment 1, if we could add on this legislation. That was read by Ms. Nakai. Thank you, Chairman.
With that, Shanada, Delegate Nathaniel Brown, request to modify your motion to add legislation 127-21 to old business.
Ayate. Abira. We can add that legislation. Yeah.
For that. Consent, and also with this, so the request was made by the seconding party, so this will be added as part of the amendment number 1. Though with that, back to Shananta on Budget and Finance Committee. Any further questions, comments? Peggy, if you would give us a second reading of amendment number 1.
Okay, Amendment 1 is to add under 5D, Tribal Consultation Report by the Navajo Nation Washington Office Executive Director Santi Lewis. And then under 6, Old Business, you would add legislation number 0127-21. Then a consent agenda, which would be item C, legislation number 0193-20D, legislation number 0239-20, and then G, legislation number 0168-19. And then items 7A and B would remain on the agenda as is. I believe that's the Amendment 1, Chair.
My question, that you get the removal of 137-21?
My apologies, yes. Item F under 7 new business, legislation number 0137-19 is to be deleted from the agenda.
Kushina, 13719. With this, Budget and Finance Committee that is amendment number 1, second reading. So with that, I'll do, if there's no further questions or comments on amendment number 1, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Denoya, this, Ms. Springer, if you would roll call vote for amendment number 1.
Okay, Chair, I can do that. Honorable Elmer Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Amber Knezba Crotty, how do you vote?
Shadeja, this is Delegate Amber Kenneth-Bacardi. I vote green, thank you.
Honorable Amber Knezba Crotty votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Chair, you have 4 members in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting.
Did you give him a vote? This is Elmer Begay.
Did you vote green? I didn't get your vote.
Yes.
Okay, Honorable
vote green.
Elmer Begay votes green. So Chair, you have 5 members in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting.
Appreciate it, Kayla. Thank you for that roll call vote. 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting on amendment number 1 passes. With this, back to the main motion. Any further questions or comments on the main motion to accept the agenda? With that, Denoy, we do have a main motion with 1 amendment, which was read. So if there's no further questions or comments, roll call vote to accept the agenda with 1 amendment. Ms. Springer?
Okay, Chair, I can do that. Honorable Elmer Begay, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
Delegate Brown votes green. Yeah.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Amber Knezba Crotty, how do you vote?
Shadeja, this is Delegate Crotty. I will vote green, thank you.
Honorable Amber Knezba Crotty votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. And Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Chair, you have 5 members in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting.
Okay, Kayla, thank you for that roll call vote. We have an agenda before us. 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting. With that, moving forward down our agenda, we do have next item on our agenda is approving the journals. And we have 2 sets of journals before us that were emailed previously. Is there a motion to accept the journal?
This is Delegate Brown. I'll motion.
Motion on that. Delegate Nathaniel Brown motion. Is there a second?
Second, Delegate Crotty.
Motion on that. Delegate Amber Knezba-Crotty, second. So with this, Delegate Nathaniel Brown, are you accepting the journals 1 at a time or both of them at the same time?
Both of them at the same time, Chair.
Krishna, with that, a motion to accept both journals at the same time. And there is a second to that motion. So any questions, comments? The Budget and Finance Committee on accepting the journals. Denoya, Ms. Springer, if you would lead us in a roll call vote to accept the journals.
Okay, Chair, I can do that. Honorable Elmer Begay, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Amber Knezba-Crotty, how do you vote?
Shadeja, this is Delegate Crotty. I vote green, thank you.
Honorable Amber Knezba-Crotty votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Chair, you have 5 members in favor, 0 opposed, and chair not voting.
Okay, thank you for that roll call vote. We have accepted our journals. 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting. Budget and Finance Committee. Moving forward to the next item on our agenda, which is receiving reports. We have item A under reports. With this, Vice Chair Smith, are you still with us here?
Yes, I am. I'm here. Good morning.
Okay. I had a meeting here at Pine Hill Schools, and I'm trying to make my way home to fully chair this meeting. So if you would take over the reins while I make my way home, and because I'll be losing reception as soon as I leave the parking lot here. If you would do that, Vice Chair Smith.
Hagoshi, thank you, Honorable Chair Hanyo. I'll go ahead and take the gavel. At this point in time, we have 5A, receive reports, update on the Navajo Housing Authority, presented by the interim CEO.
This is Delegate So.
Good morning, Vice Chair So.
Just let you guys know I'm on the line. Thank you very much. Listening in.
Hagoshi, thank you, Shanada. Back to the agenda, receiving reports. Do we have Mr. Wasita on board with us?
Good morning, Vice Chair Vice Chair Raymond Smith and BFA committee members. This is Dwayne Wasita from Navajo Housing Authority.
Good morning. You have the floor. This is time for your report. You have 20.
All right. Before you, I'm not sure if I submitted a written report to your office or to the committee. Before you, just a preliminary updates. That's a summary of activities that we have within the Housing Authority. One of the big topics is the summary activities that we've been actively monitoring and follow is the Nha Reauthorization Act of 2020. This has been going, it's been ongoing since 2012, 2014, so they haven't looked at haven't reauthorized Nha. It's been going on the continuous. So back in 2019, we made some comments at the first round of the Senate's documentation on the bill. Just past 2 months ago, the House created their own version of the reauthorization bill, which is going through review. So we've been monitoring the 2 different bills on this reauthorization and hoping to come to consensus. One of the big things that we recommend in both bills during the reauthorization is that they have the Indian Health Service, RHS sanitation funds, which in past when Nha was created, that there was a prohibition that the funding could not be utilized with Nha. But with this bill here, allows Indian Health Service to utilize funding to match up with Nha. So this would be a great agreement that when they reauthorize to blend both funding together to help Indian country. So we've been monitoring this area and seeing how these bills are going to be implemented. This bill that was created in 2020 is by Senator Hoeven out of North Dakota. So it was 6 Republicans and 3 Democrats that were part of the bill development. So we're gauging it, monitoring it through, and hopefully that this reauthorization can be finalized. One of the other areas that we have is the CARES Act. This here has been it's been a challenge to roll out the programs because of the way the act is written. One of the things that they have in the CARES Act, it has an area there for put some limitation on areas that has wording that says that we cannot duplicate services of federal agency or other agencies. So we're currently remodifying that CARES Act here to address areas that are not being addressed across the Navajo Nation. One of the things that we currently have that we're putting in, that we're going to be putting in place is going to be, we're looking at doing some veterans assistance for here. We've been working with Navajo Veterans Office with some of the areas to prevent and respond to homelessness with the fundings here. So this is something that we're working through with Mr. Jay-Z's office on there. Sorry about my voice, sir. In committee, I'm still recovering for an illness. So that's kind of the highlights for the CARES, the act there. Once this amendment is finalized, we take it through our board and it goes through the regular approval process because it's going to be a brand new document program that's going to be created through NAHAZA. The other areas of summary of programs that we have is the American Rescue Plan, which we got. We went through the period of getting it finalized. One of the things that we focus on with this program is that we have the same criteria: respond, prepare, and prevent. We looked at some of the aging infrastructure that's across the reservation that we have, which that hasn't been addressed in terms of some of the development sites, some of the areas that we have. So one of the key areas that we have is we put a project in there with the funding sources within the Winter Rock. This apartment complex is 60 units. The other project is a home ownership projects that we have to fill the needs that we have been doing work out in the form of Bennett Freeze. We had some applicants. We have 21 applicants there that we're going to fund through this program here. And that's going to be under the home ownership unit program. The other program that we have is improve and upgrade existing infrastructure. Across the reservation, we have aging systems that that were either built by Indian Health Service that have made the limits for capacity and they need to be addressed. One of the sewer lagoons out in Lower Greasewood Springs is an area that needs to be. NHA and the community were utilizing the BIA community system, but the BIA community system is aging, and we're working on adding a cell building out there. There's a DZ out in Eastern Agency. We're going to be building a sewer lagoon out there to add on to the cells because currently the community system that is being used there is the same similarity. It's using the Indian Health Service and the BIE school system. And we've been requested, and the community has been requested to expand the system. So we're going to put money to that to help the communities in that area. Other area that we're working on is the Kaibato area community. We have a sewer lagoon there that was built by the chapter house. We're looking at areas to expand or relocate to a new area. Rock Springs community, we have a main sewer line and a lagoon that needs to be upgraded. This was put in the early 70s by Indian Health Service. So this infrastructure is going to be upgraded there, or new lines put in. Tahajali area here, sewer lagoon is going to be upgraded there. Currently you have one cell that has been damaged and it's leaking. So we're going to repair that and expand on there and fix that lagoon. We have a street improvement. Part of this is in the Winter Rock housing, the St. Michael housing area. We're working with Navajo NDOT on this area here. in terms of some of the floodings that have occurred. So, and this is some of the infrastructure fixing the roads for existing. The new infrastructure that we're looking at, we have a area out in Lukachikai. We're expanding a new water line system there for the community. There's a new school being built, so NHA is working with NQA to build out a new system for the community there. Winter Rock, we have for the apartment buildings, we're building out we're going to be putting a water tank there for the 60 units, but it will be utilized for the community for the vast developments that are planned down the future. Kinlichi, we have a scatter site that we're going to do upgrade to a water line there, just a pressure relief valve that needs to be upgraded to provide better service of that water service. Kaibito is a new sewerless system that we're looking at, working with the chapter on this sewer lagoon and community system there. Then we have scattered site, off-site utilities for the Bennett Freeze. That's for 21 units that's going to be put in motion there for funding. The last one of infrastructure development is the Midden Rock, Arizona, the access road development. There's a development site here that has the road's never been developed, paved. It's a little over 1.5 miles, so we're going to build. We've been working with NDOT, BIA. NHA's been, the project's probably been about 6 years old, so we're going to use the funding to have to build out the road to get this thing so at least the community people there or that in the development site have access instead of driving around in different dirt road accesses. Another program that we're doing is a ventilation upgrade for NHA Public Rentals. We have 427 units that are aging that we're looking at interior ventilation improvements for the public rentals. This will be responding to some using HEPAVAX area systems to improve those ventilations there. The next one is a repair of 1937 public rental units. We have some units that have foundation repairs. There's 39 units. We're going to use funding to fix those foundations there to make them occupiable to use for housing. The last area here is acquisition of properties, real property acquisition. The access road at the Hawk site. And this is area that's been ongoing here to get access to the property there. So we're going to use funding to acquire a road access to this development site. There's a total of 80 different, not 80, but 7 different programs that we're utilizing under the ARP. And the main focus, like I mentioned earlier, is all going to be focused on infrastructure. Another area of summary of activities is the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Emergency Rental Assistance Program here was improved. It was signed into law in December, went through the process. Housing Authority received notice in late January. It took roughly about 2 months to get the program through the process requirements to get it up and going through the transfer. The Navajo Nation, in terms of this program here, through the allocations that we had with the application that was submitted, it was $93.3 million. With the draws, with the assistance that we have, and this is $2 million, there's a balance of $91 million. That's part of the program. Application aspects of it, there's process and assist. There's 1,212 individuals that applied and were assisted. Currently under review, we have 400. There's a total of 1,612 applications that went through the office. The program guidance that was under this thing gave the tribes no more than 6 months to carry out. So my understanding, we're working with the Treasury, and this is for the consultation. One of the struggles that we have with this area with documentation to get up in here is that verification for our programs here is that is some of the areas that we have requires to have matching information from, they don't accept post office box. And some of the rural areas that we have that we're struggling with for us to do reports is that our credentials don't match because we use post office box. We don't have physical addresses where we receive mail. So we're working on this to complete our reporting. So those are some of the challenges that we receive in terms of this program. It's a short time frame, and this is where like this is the consultation period that comes in of what challenges we have in Indian country because of the short time frame to expend these monies. Veterans area program. In the 2021 program, Now Housing Authority allocated $2 million to the Veteran Administration. The agreement between, partnership agreement between the Navajo Nation presidents and the veterans with NHA was completed in August to construct. We're going through the program development. We have staff that is doing the rollout program activities to get everything up to start the services for this. There's 30 units that are going to be constructed with the NAHAZA funding. And this is going to be a continuous program after every 2 years. What the program agreement we have is set for every 2 years of fund sources. Currently, NHA assisted 309 veteran clients through the VHAP as of September 21st, and those numbers are fluctuated in terms of the programs that we have. One of the areas of accomplishments too was the Nha Public Openings. This was a challenge with Housing Authority, and this is a challenge with the nation. As we roll out these mandates and with COVID and the new variants coming out, we had struggles on how we're going to operate to a full 100%. We still have some areas there that have exposures and which hinder some of us having to be shut down. So we constantly were working on this, looking at, we made the Housing Authority full vaccination as of September 30th. So the public mandates was released from Navajo Nation. NHA is rolling with those areas. One thing to report on this is that Navajo Housing Authority, out of the 357 employees, 342 are reported fully vaccinated. That's roughly 95.8% of our organization employees have been vaccinated, with roughly 10 that haven't been documented yet, that haven't received or haven't brought in their documentation. But I think this is one of the challenges as we can try and continues to keep the public offices open, but at the same time making sure that we protect our employees, because what we're seeing is that with some of these areas of exposures, it's coming from the unvaccinated to the children's being exposed at school. So are continuously working on this public vaccination mandate to make sure that we keep our offices open, but at the same time holding our employees safe, keeping them free of COVID. One of the areas of the construction area that we have, one of the construction areas that we're really struggling with is the materials. Cost has been going up. It's a continuous roller coaster on this. It comes down, goes up. So currently with modernization, we have 117 units that are under the planning part, but the estimates that we're coming up with exceeds our requirement for programs for development costs. We're looking at a 30% actual construction cost overcrease on some of these areas here. So we're gauging that and how we're going to push some of these projects out into the next phase of construction. The new construction that we have 299 units that are 265 units are public rental, and then with the scattered homes that we're going out to, that's out to procurement, there's 34 These units here, we're seeing from the first round of advertisement, we're seeing a significant increase in cost. And those are some of the things as you all see on the news, is that appliances, there's a lot of areas that are shorted just because of the distribution routes. In the other area of new construction, we have 90 units in progress under the design build program, and we have 13 that's going through the construction phase. One of the things is that we just need to gauge this and seeing how much we're going to be putting into this for our construction costs. It's going to be significant, high increase. Crime prevention, we have a project that's going through the finalization of, it's the solar street lights. It's going to be serving 230 households across the reservation at several different locations. And as you know, a lot of our public rentals, the solar street lights program has been very beneficial to individuals, and we have seen a decrease in a lot of crime activities, theft and burglary, all of that. And so we're continue with this program, which will help our individual residents at these rural sites. Infrastructure areas that we mentioned earlier, we have 62, we have street repairs for 62 units across the reservation. We have 78 households for wastewater upgrades for some of the current units that we have. Under the model activities, we have 4 projects that's going on. We have the Dene Youth Complex in Crown Point that's going up, and this area has been impacted by COVID and impacted by changes there. So those are one of the things that we're continuously monitoring. We have some demo rebuilds that we're going through with housing for home ownerships. These are some of the units that have that NHA has taken over, and we're going to, due to some structural areas of impacts, we're going to have to tear them down and rebuild them. And these are older 1937 units. In terms of the financial condition of the authority, the current loss balance of housing authorities is sitting around 238 at the end of September. The last quarter draw of funding of expenditures that we drew down was $22.4 million of program activities. And this quarter reports here that is matching what our fund source. So the 2018 plan expenditure that we had for housing authority was $68 million, but with the continuous impacts from COVID and the pandemic, we ended up doing roughly about $56 million. About 81% of our planned expenditure was met, but we had some problems with some of the rolling out contracts because the contracts biddings were more than what is allowed under the program guidance. In terms of the 2022 Indian Housing Plan, this program has been, the Indian Housing Plan was approved in on July 16th and submitted to HUD. HUD has submitted the letter of compliance that the Indian Housing Plan met all program guidance requirements, and it's in compliance with HUD. We also received a letter from them that the established fund program estimates have not been identified yet, but they have an estimate of $82 million for 2022. We expect the IHP funds notice will be coming out around June or July of 2022, which is going to be mid-year of the program, as that's a normal notification for the federal award program. In terms of the 2021 annual performance report, currently our deadline to submit to HUD is December 28th. Our internal reports that we're doing is gathering all of the documentation to prepare the report, which will be submitted to HUD on December 28th. One of the areas of topics is the number of units and vacancies. As the housing authority here, we have a little over 7,000, 7,291 units that are active in the program. Under the 7,000 with 3,500 units are the public rental 1937, and we have Nahas of 773 units. And then the 1937 home ownerships 2,355, and Nahas home ownerships is 638. With the areas that we have here, with the vacancies, we have public rental vacancies with move-outs, and then areas that have some areas of damage, foundation concern, structural. There's public rentals 263 units, and home ownership was 142. One thing that's that is a comparison. In 2019, when we rolled out the program, we had roughly 756 units vacant at different stages. So in terms of November of 2021, as we roll into the program here, level 405, literally the program has, we have dramatically reduced the vacancies. And as we continue this, we currently are working on this home ownership to have a resale program that's going to be rolling out into the year of 2022 of reselling this 142 units. Currently, we have a little over 106 units that are going through different phases of design or are using the design build method to create opportunity for housing for home ownerships. Lastly is the accomplishment aspects of the programs. We continue with this COVID program operational. One of the things is the continuous training with return to work policy and the safety procedures with our employees and contractors. I think this has been very beneficial for housing authorities that continue education with well over 300 employees across the reservation. And we work with different agencies and offices of the nation in order to provide this service. One of the second areas that we have housing authorities working with the Chinle Indian Health Service mobile vaccination. And this was a program that was started out just to see if we can get some of the rural areas that NHA has with some of the subdivisions. NHA has roughly about 56 different subdivisions across in rural areas that don't have opportunity for individuals to make it to their service unit. So the area that we rolled out for vaccination services for mobile vaccination was Round Rock, Rough Rock, Lukachukai, Saline, Chinle, Low Mountain, Cottonwood, Forest Lake, Pinion, Noslini. That turned out, that initial phase that we worked with the mobile vaccination was a good response. The response, we're working on additional plans to continue the partnership. We're looking at, because some of the residents out there could not or don't have vehicles to travel to the hospital, we're looking at how we establish mobile clinics so they can bring the clinics to some of these development sites for people to get their medication or get checkups versus them having to travel a long distance. So the collaboration that we have started with Chinle IHS has been very fruitful, and we're looking at other areas across the reservation to establish this program. The area that we have that we've been working on and finalizing and continuously working on and improving is the corrective action plans that was cited that we went before BNF back in 2019. The corrective action plans that we had was evaluated there was evaluated 53 corrective measures, and the final cap was issued on March 30, 2021. This was identified that 81% of the corrective action plans were implemented. The 10 corrective measures were in process, or if not fully implemented, but in the process. We continue to work on some of these areas, but in this area here, the Housing Authority has continued to implement the 10 remaining corrective measures, and those the measures that have been reported in the last review we have. NHA has implemented 3 of them and partially implemented 7. So we're in the stages of finalizing that to get all of them, the last 7 fully implemented, which will close out this corrective action plan. The VASH program that we have for the veterans, this VASH, NHA received notice that NHA's met all the program requirements. And so we had a renewal fund source that was given to us for a renewal grant for 2021. These are vouchers for 20 individuals for rental assistance for the veterans. It was $281,000 was awarded to carry out this program here. So the program here has been successful. We received notice last month that there's going to be a second round of unallocated funds for the VASH, which Housing Authority is going to prepare to submit a grant for additional vouchers to assist the veterans on under this VASH program. One of the last page here that we're challenged with, I mentioned this earlier, is the supply chain of raw material for construction. And the supply chain is hitting everything. And this is one thing that we have noticed with some of the areas with concrete and fill. Concrete has been dramatically increased, and then if you notice with the fuel cost for delivery has really impacted these areas. So we're looking at areas and we're looking at how can we develop a supply chain of raw material for housing across the nation, because this is going to be one of the biggest challenges for everything that's going to be rolled out if the nation has programs that's going to deal with raw materials across the area. The land parts of it that we've been working on, I appreciate everything that has been going on with RDC. Some of the areas for land availability, the processes, how everything in place. I think establishing that one-stop shop and breaking down those barriers and silos it's going to be very, it's going to improve the area there. So I'm monitoring that and seeing how we can look at some of these areas, because we still have some areas of developments that we look at, but we still have some struggles of the areas there, because some of the areas do require right-of-ways for infrastructures or other areas for the floodplains. So those challenges there that is going to be a face across, and we're looking at recommendations how to, and this is the only way we can, the way we usually look at it is the partnerships between the different programs within the nation. One of the areas too that that we challenge with everything is that we're trying to establish is intergovernmental or interagency agreements that will help us out in this. And as I mentioned, with the reauthorization, the Indian Health Service is allowed to partner and use monies in conjunction with NAHAZA. This interagency, intergovernmental agreement will be very beneficial. And we can probably look at reducing the costs, and as we share services and share different phases of what work needs to be provided across the reservation. The other area that we faced with some of the projects that we had was with the pandemic was environmental review. Some of the offices that we had to run the environmental review through the nation, through some of the federal agencies or BIA, were closed, so consultation periods were extended. We had one project we're in the process of finalizing, but we were going on 14 months just to get everything finalized to meet those federal requirements under the environmental review. One thing that I mentioned earlier is our total development costs. That's one of the things that we've been in consultation with HUD. How do we, if there is going to be any kind of issuance of notices given to tribes, extended periods of a waiver, because they only had it for the 2020 period, if this can go forward, because the supply chain that we're dealing with now, the lack of materials, it's going to be a detriment to everything. One of the last challenges that we have is the labor. It's almost $1 billion of identified projects that's going to be going through different sales activities between Indian Health Service, Navajo Nation, NHA, BIA. We're looking at we're going to be challenged with workforce and the competing for construction firms. And one thing that we're looking at is how do we establish get the tradesmen's that demand for tradesmen is going to be rising. How do we bring that in? We're looking at the revisions of Navajo tradesman requirements and program requirements. And one of the key things that we have is the bonding programs requirements. Is there a way that we can establish insurance bonding that individuals who can't get bonding can get bonding through the nation or through the programs here? So we're looking at those avenues. I was on a conversation listening to the Nha Chamber of Commerce, and that was one of the challenges that NICA is facing during the core was some of the Navajo subcontractors was unable to establish bonding for the project activities that they were trying to undertake. So those are one of the things that that we're looking at really deeply and closely. How do we open it up, but at the same time, how do we provide opportunity to individuals for these programs and the projects that are going to be initiated? Vice Chairman Smith, that's the end of my report, sir. Vice Chair?
Can you all hold on a second? Vice Chair's phone dropped. His phone call dropped, so you just need to be patient here.
I'm Burley back. This is Vice Chair Smith.
Okay, thank you.
Back to the committee members. Mr. Wasita, is that your report for this morning?
Yes, sir.
Agustin, thank you. Committee members of the Budget and Finance need a motion.
Motion, Elmer P. Begay.
Motion by Honorable Elmer Begay. Second.
Yellow.
Agustin. Second by Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Committee members, any questions for the interim on the report of Navajo Housing Authority?
I have a question. Delegate Begay.
Delegate Crotty with the question.
Okay, I'll have Honorable Elmer Begay should go first, and then after that I'll recognize Honorable Crotty. You have the floor, Da.
Vice Chair, members of the Budget and Finance Committee. Mr. Mr. Waletas?
Mr.
Wasita, excuse me. I have a question. I know that I know you're going through NHA regarding your ARPA fundings, and you mentioned that the expenditure on improve upgrades existing infrastructures. I know you mentioned Greasewood for Sewer Lagoon. I know that there's a new school that is replacing school that is in process right now at Greasewood School, and I know that they're upgrading their sewer. I wanted to know that how can you? I've been talking to BIA Gallup regarding their sewer, because we have a new replace convenience store there. They wanted to, but their line used to be hooked up to the sewer line to the school, but after the convenience store was burned down. So after they replaced that, they were not allowed to connect their sewer line back to the school. So, but the BIA, I guess they said that it was limited. So right now, with your new lagoon, is there a way that you have an authority where you could write a letter to the BIA to have the store to hook up their sewer line to that line again? Because it's just right there. It's just a matter of a hook connecting it back there, because they wanted to. The store is planning of putting up they have enough water. They wanted to know that if they could put up a like laundromat, but it's just that it has to be connected to the sewer line. So this is all for the people there, and we know that there's very low income people that lives in the area. And then with the additional 36 new BIA housing that we put in place again. So I'm not sure here. It just says 85. I'm not sure if that's including the new housing for the school. I'm not sure if you're adding that to that too. So maybe there's one question for the district school. So if we could maybe how we could work together to advocate to have the store, the convenience store, to establish a laundromat and hook it to the line to connect it back to the BIA sewer system there. And then another one is here in Galcon. We know that we're already. I've been mentioning it to all enterprises, as well as to the Navajo Nation, that there's a new hospital that's going to be put in place right in the midst of the NHA. There's a lot of it's within the vicinity of Galcon. The street is right there, and then the housings are right there. The shopping centers there, and things like that. This is more convenient for NHA attendants to walk to get their. I mean, we've seen, and you know that they do. People, pedestrians, they do. They as a pedestrian to use that to go to have access to shopping centers there, and we know that it's going to increase once we have that hospital in place. There's going to be more pedestrians walking, and there's going to be more traffic there. So I don't know why NHA doesn't see this. Don't put a plan to help Galcon community to start making sidewalks and have access for people to for pedestrians to have an access to these entities. And then we know that there's going to be more security too. We need some security lights. At least you could say that NHA should be looking into safety corridors. Have a corridors built for including sidewalks, the ramps, and then also for security, the street lights. I don't know why you cannot see the NHA. Is there a place? Who can I talk to? You know that there's going to be a development going on. So many years this has been in place. and I don't see any plans within your opera fundings. Is there somebody that's out there that can have a vision that sees what's going on here? So, is there any plans you have for DALCON? And can that be shared with me as soon as possible? So that will be my question. 2 questions. That's my question.
My question's done. We'll go ahead and turn the floor over to Shemayaja. Honorable Karate, you have the floor.
Vice Chair Pro Tem, I'm going to defer and allow NHA to answer the question. I'm going to possibly get on another call with this emergency. Thank you, Chair Pro Tem.
Okay, thank you, Shemayaja. There is an emergency call. Don't know what's happening, but I'll turn the floor over to Navajo Housing Authority interim, Mr. Wasita. You have the floor.
Good morning, Vice Chair and Commissioner, Mr. Elmer. I'm sorry, lose my voice here. All right, to answer the first question regarding Lower Greasewood. If you, I guess with history has passed, when BIA school first started going through the development phase of this thing, probably 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago. I believe at that time that was Mr. Black, I can't remember his name, was a councilman. NHA was in consultation with BIA, we're part of the area. This was being designed out of the Albuquerque area office. And by the school gave us notices that they were going to take everybody off of there, and the impacts that were going to happen was the IHS clinic. I believe there was a clinic there they had, and then they had the store and some of the residents that were hooked up to that. And one of the big things that was going to be dramatic to us for Housing Authority, we have 85 different clients that were going to be dramatically impacted on this. So through to the design phase of it, we try to work with other areas, try to find funding, because this is a lot of monies that just to build out the sewer lagoon. Because one of the big things there is that the sewer lagoon is sitting in a floodplain area. By that identification there, it has higher levels of design requirements. So by working with BIA, OFMC, the BIA design people out of Albuquerque, we've come up to some areas of where we're going to be building. Also, a consultation area is that we're going to be working with N2A, because the BIA facility will be handled by BIA, but the areas that we're looking at building out, once it's turned over, we build out the sewer lagoon, connect the line, that it will be turned over to N2A. Once Navajo Housing Authority turns the operational sewers plant over to them, it no longer we have the criteria requirements. So once it's built out and turned over to N2A, individuals that, like you're talking about, the store, other areas, will need to work with N2A, because NHA will no longer have the oversight. We just build it, fund it, build a plant, and then we turn over the ownership for operation maintenance to N2A. And this is where the planning needs to happen of some of the areas that's going to, depending on what systems are going to be needed, and then the actual service, because the design aspects of it that we've been working on is in collaboration with what BIE gave us in terms of the BIA, what is being utilized so far for the sewer system. So once NHA builds a system and then transfers the ownerships to N2A, N2A will take on that responsibility, and then they can entertain who connects and to that system. So once we get the planning sites in place, that's what we want to build out as a community, because there is land up on top of the hill that we like to build.
Question of privilege. This is Delegate Brown.
Honorable Brown, question of privilege. Do you have the floor?
Or, point of order. Chair, I'm listening to the other meeting. Can we take a recess from Budget and Finance for at least an hour? I'm trying to listen to this very important call on both sides, but it sounds like our colleague might need us on this other call as well, and we need to give them the respect and undivided attention. So can I motion for a recess for the next hour or so? Thank you.
Second. Delegate Begay, second.
I have a motion by Honorable Nathaniel Brown to recess for an hour. I have a second by Honorable Elmer Brigay. Committee members, let's go to a vote on the recess for an hour. Heather, could we do a vote on the recess for an hour?
Yeah, Vice Chair, I can do that. Honorable Elmer Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Green.
Delegate Begay.
Honorable, who voted green?
Delegate Begay.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Amber Knezbak-Crotty, how do you vote? Honorable Amber Knezbak-Crotty, how do you vote? Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote? Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote? Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote?
I vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Vice Chair, you have 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and Vice Chair voting.
Thank you, Heather. Committee members and those that are listening on will be on recess at this point in time at 11:43. We'll return at 12:43, 1 hour recess if you can.